Welcome to another edition of Building Community, brought to you by One Ruth Chicago, building an intergenerational community for LGBTQ seniors and young adults in the Bronzeville community. Our guest this episode is Adam L. McMath, Executive Director of Black Alphabet, the Jamii Centers for the Arts and Media. Adam, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, who is Adam McMath, and what brought you to this fabulous and incredible work?
Sure. So I moved to Chicago in the year 2000, right out of high school, to go to film school at Columbia. I also went to theater school at Columbia and got a master's in media arts management, which is essentially the media version of an MBA. And I thought I was going to be the next Spike Lee. I thought it, I believed it, and actually held on to that until my grandmother called me up and told me to get a job. So I pivoted, took a route into marketing in corporate America, and then ultimately did some media work in corporate America, producing high-end commercials for a corporation and other clients for about 15, almost 20 years. Then the pandemic happened. And they didn't need an in-house commercial team anymore. So I lost that role and moved into some COVID work on the East Coast, where I did some commercial work, getting people vaccinated and all that stuff in the DMV area, and decided I liked doing that on-the-ground community level work, and decided to come back to Chicago. I was still running Black Alphabet at the time as a volunteer, and decided to expand that work and impact our community by leveraging art, media, and wellness practices year-round. And then we decided to do that work both nationally and internationally, but most of our work, 80% of our work, is still in Chicago. And the reason why we decided to do our work nationally and internationally is because there's smaller communities that don't have access to programming that we almost take for granted in Chicago. You go to a rural town in Louisiana, for instance, and they're not going to have Black LGBTQ programming, but they do have a population. So that's a little bit about why we do what we do. I'm passionate about the work because I've seen art change lives over the years. I got into the arts because I grew up in St. Louis. Went over to my grandmother's house one day, and all these people were standing outside of her apartment building taking pictures. And I asked her, I was like, why are they taking pictures of your apartment, Grandma? And she was like, oh yeah, some playwright, Tennessee Williams, used to live in this apartment. He wrote something. And, that sparked interest in me, being able to impact people by something that you've created, like Tennessee did, really stayed with me through my childhood into my college years.
Sure. So the Jamii Center is such a beautiful space.
Thank you.
It really is a beautiful space. The first time I walked in there, I was just awestruck by. I went there for a drumming circle.
Oh, very cool.
Which was so much fun and actually in a way very spiritual. I thank you all for making that available to us. Because it really helped. But I also couldn't help but notice the art on the walls, and I said, "Good grief." It's always wonderful to be in a space where you're surrounded by beautiful art, because, creativity just like that just really does a thing for you, So talk about some of the programming that is done, especially locally here out of Black Alphabet.
Sure. So our year-round program is free art therapy for the community. We do that for young adults, 16 to 25 5, and we do that for adults 26 and above. And we're going to add a specific program for seniors 55, not seniors, but people 55 and above. Just to, and that program really came to light during the pandemic where people were kind of isolated and needed an outlet. And we were doing that virtually originally. We piloted it virtually. Chicago Department of Public Health helped us pilot that program, and then it grew into a program that actually helped firmly supplant the organization into what it does now. We also do a youth summer arts in residence program that's coming up in June. We usually get youth from different colleges and universities around the area to come in and really hone their art. We match them up with mentors, and then they have a final presentation at the end of the summer. We always have our annual film festival, which is the genesis of the organization. The organization actually started as a film festival because we weren't, the founders couldn't find a space to show a film about Essex hemp bill. And of course, it wasn't formed in competition with Reeling. We actually partner with Reeling quite a bit, but Reeling just can't, show 20 black films and 20 Latino films and 20 Asian films.
Right.
They have to, spread the love. So we do programming like that. We do our program that you mentioned last summer, Healing Summer. We do wellness events weekly at our location at the Jamii Center for Arts and Media, right at 3850 South Indiana. All of our events are free to the community. People are more than welcome to obviously donate if they would like, but we don't want money to be a barrier for folks. We want people to access art, especially on the south and west side of the city, as regularly as they can. And art can be leveraged for a lot of things. Part of a book that I'm writing, that's with the editor right now, is leveraging art to eradicate loneliness, which is one of the best tools to do that. So our programming is really built around a building community, eradicating loneliness, and giving people a safe space to explore and be themselves.
It's a great space for all of those things too. I was so pleased. I belong to an art collectors group, Diasporal Rhythms, and we had our Christmas party there.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And I was just so pleased. I said, I don't know how this happened, but I'm glad it happened. Jamii Center is getting some more notice here, and art collectors and producers of art are coming together, and that's such an incredible and important thing to happen as well.
Yeah, and we actually recently, it was last weekend, we had a group of musicians that had an event, a birthday party for somebody who was turning 40, which was, to that group was a big deal. And they were all kind of like, really, really ecstatic that they picked that location because it's they're having an arts event, an arts birthday in an art space.
Sure, that's great. Well, you do the film festivals too.
Yes.
Tell us about those.
So Black Alphabet Film Festival, which is the oldest and largest LGBTQ Black-focused film festival in the world, is our annual film festival, and it serves as a fundraiser. Obviously, it's again free, but people do pay what they can tickets. But again, we don't want that to be a barrier to people seeing themselves on screen or being an ally. So we do that every year in October. In Chicago, we do it in Cincinnati, which is our second oldest city. We do it. We've done it in Uganda.
Wow.
Which is a lot of the art on the wall. We did a lot of art buying in Uganda during that trip, and Ray, who's our managing director, is on an art buying trip now for more art to put in the space, as well as all local artists, of course. But we really found that film festival is a meeting space for not only artists but for community members that just haven't seen themselves enough in media, and we find that folks that are struggling with their sexuality or family members of people that are struggling with their sexuality get a lot out of that space.
It's good to know.
Leveraging art again, in our case, worked miracles for people.
I believe that. I believe that. So speaking of Uganda, I keep hearing about the homophobia there. How is the film festival received in Uganda each year?
Sure. So we do the film festival underground.
Okay.
So part of traveling anywhere as an out member of the LGBTQ community is understanding what you're doing when you go somewhere.
Sure.
And you've been to Africa, I'm sure. So it's really about the act in the government's mind. So if they don't catch you in the act, they're not really going to bother you. You could walk down the street holding another man's hand. That is normal for a lot of heterosexual Africans.
Exactly.
Period. So they're used to seeing that type of affection. When we the first time we got to Uganda, when we got to the airport, the person that owns the compound that we stayed in is an openly gay man, African man, and he sashayed through the airport, and we were all like, "You do that here?" And he was a clear indication that people can be their open self to an extent there. Obviously, the laws are not ideal. And then also one of the things that we kind of noticed that, when we were talking to a bunch of the Ugandans the first time is that they don't want to leave their home. The easiest solution for us would be to suggest, why don't you just move to the United States? We can get you over there.
Yeah.
They don't want to leave their family. They don't want to leave their home. They want things to be right
there
at home. Yeah. So so interestingly enough, and I'm sure you can imagine, we learned more on that trip from them than they did from us.
Fascinating. Yeah, I lived and worked in South Africa several years ago, and South Africa is the only country in the world that has written human rights into their constitution for the LGBT community, and it was being ratified while I was living there, and it was just fascinating. The religious folks who just were having a hissy fit, but the government said, hey, no, it's everybody or nobody. And I was just wondering, I was hoping then that would catch on, because especially places like Zimbabwe and Uganda and places like that are in such close proximity to South Africa, but not yet.
Not yet, and Ghana is having an anti-LGBT conference in May.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's still a strong effort to oppose LGBTQ folks on the continent, which is sad to see. And those are all Eurocentric ideologies.
Exactly.
Anyway,
Exactly. And the other thing that I'm glad to see happening now is that there's an anti-Eurocentric movement that's gripping Africa, the continent now. The United States of Africa and a couple of other movements that I'm just glad to see happening over there, where they're beginning to reject, the European influence, and it's about time.
Yeah, I hope they can accelerate that.
It's about time. Yeah. So, what's coming up soon?
Well, what's coming up soon? We are in full-on festival planning mode since we have about 5 this year, maybe more we might be doing. Black Pride in Paris. So we're gearing up for that. And, you know, all of that comes with finding the funding.
Of course.
But you know, that's a dance that we do every year, and we always do very well at that dance for that particular program. So that's coming up. We have a bunch of great events coming up for the summer. We're doing a group outing to AVR Young's opera in April at the Lyric Opera. The Saturday show. We'll have a discount code on our social media soon. And we're really just looking for opportunities like that to gather with our community, you know, low stakes type of events to really make sure that we are all standing, you know, in community as much as possible.
Exactly. That's good to know. Any thoughts about maybe producing, not necessarily films, but commercials, but you know, little snippets for local LGBT Black organizations that they could begin to use?
So what we're in the process of now, something similar to that, we're actually working on figuring out how to fund I want to say a living history. So, you know, interviewing our elders to make sure we're getting their stories told. You know, and also giving them their flowers while they're still with us. So that's if we get the funding for that, which, you know, I'll just put it into the atmosphere, we will.
Good.
That'll be a major undertaking. We do have a media leg of our organization that's starting to take shape. We've developed 2 documentaries under that umbrella. One about a local poet, and she told a story about, you know, how she was witness to her dad shoot and kill her mother, and then he killed himself, so murder-suicide, and how she used her poetry from a young age. I mean, this happened when she was 17 or 18. Up until her late 30s now, to heal from that.
I was going to say, it's got to be a healing experience.
And she's a fantastic award-winning poet that's been all over the country and world. So really just pulling out stories like that from our community, letting folks know that, you know, whatever we do, you're not alone. There are resources for you, even during this time of, you know, that man.
Yes.
There are still people still fighting for you. So long story short, that's something that we'll definitely be open to.
Good.
In the future.
That's really good. Yeah, because I know that when we talk amongst ourselves, you know, one of the biggest challenges is how you get the word out to the community about all the things that we are and all the things that we're doing. You know, and how we can begin to capture that history, because there's such a rich history here, you know, in the LGBT community, the Black LGBT community. You know, I just look back on years and years of you know, what's been going on, and the story just hasn't been told.
Yeah, it's just I was just in New York 3 days ago, and caught the closing of the Gay Harlem Renaissance exhibit at the New York Historical Society.
Yeah.
And the whole time I was like, you know, Bronzeville has almost, if not just as rich of a gay history that nobody knows about.
That's right.
And, you know, I know folks with some of the, you know, archival, you know, stuff from that period of time. So there does need to be more storytelling.
Yeah.
There does need to be more people in our community. There's never going to be enough people in our community telling these stories because our history has been erased.
Exactly.
And we need, you know, soldiers on the ground doing this work.
Yeah. I mean, I look around and so many of my friends are gone, and with them, you know, we've lost, you know, their stories, their history, you know, their experiences, and so all we can do now is try and tell their stories through what we know, what we remember about them, you know. but it's a lot.
And I tell you, and not to belabor the point, what I've been working on is working with our elders to start figuring out where their archives are going to go once they pass on. Because, for instance, I know a guy in D.C., hopefully you're not watching, that has a basement full of Essex hemp hills.
Really?
Records, books,
Oh, I bet
archives,
I know.
notepads, all this. I know you know.
We'll talk about it offline.
But yeah, I mean, we need to make sure that we're preserving this, and the next generation can access it.
Yeah.
And not to think as an executive director, but we always do this. We could display these things and use that as a fundraiser all day long.
Absolutely.
All day long.
Absolutely, yeah.
For all of our organizations, yeah.
I knew Essex. In fact, we were almost neighbors. We lived fairly close to one another when I lived in D.C. You're just a powerful person, very powerful. Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, and the people that just remember meeting him, when they talk about him, they get so energized because his writings as well as his personality were just over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, over the top. Yeah. So, let's see. How do we wrap this up? We've got Adam McMath at the table here with us, and our show is coming to an end. We want you to tune in again next month for another edition of Building Community, where we will bring in important information to you about what's happening in the LGBT community, especially on the south and west sides of our city. We thank Adam McMath.
Thank you for having me.
And let's see, contact information.
Sure. You could check us out at www.blackalphabet.org is our main website. Social media is Instagram is black_alphabet. And yeah, you can find out all the information. We do share a lot of our history on our social media pages. So if you just are curious, check us out.
And if you want to just get awestruck, call and make an appointment and go by Black Alphabet's Jamii Center, and it will blow your mind. It's such a wonderful space. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you, Jim.
All
Appreciate
right.
you.
It's wonderful.